and how do you really put your story across in an authentic way? Which, by the way, Vijay, I think that is something that I see founders, especially who have not been born in America, struggle with, right? I think a lot of cultures really teach you or wire you from your childhood to be humble, to actually not speak about yourself. So I think you mentioned authenticity, but the only way people will understand your authenticity if you are actually telling your story.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's a challenge. I don't know what your experience has been there.
Yeah, that's a very good point. You know, in the United States in particular, people are raised to have self-esteem, which is not going to sound like like a particularly insightful observation to any one in our American audience. But around the world, that is not considered a very important virtue, right? So, uh, and it's certainly in other cultures, there are expressions like the tall poppy gets cut, or if you climb too far up the ladder, everyone can see you're behind. Like every culture has their own version of this to sort of discourage people from trying to stand out or to excel or to become more than what they are, because those societies are very perhaps egalitarian, or they value humility, or you shouldn't speak in argumentatively or confront your elder superiors or people in authority. And there is going back to the 1960s, a countercultural sort of aspect to Silicon Valley that suggests, yes, we're here to do things in defiance of authority sometimes, to break rules or to defy expectations and norms. That doesn't mean that anyone should do things that are unethical or illegal or immoral, and sometimes that has happened. But what that means is breaking away from some of those norms. And that is very common, certainly in Asian cultures and in our culture, in Indian culture, where we are taught that humility, as you pointed out, but also that deference to authority and to elders and more senior people and so forth. So that, if a CTO who you want to buy your product may tell you that this is no good because he's from or she's from a very direct culture, and perhaps just not seeing the need immediately, then you may internalize that in also in ways that you shouldn't. And so instead, asking questions that are part of the customer development process and can open, your eyes to their needs so that you can go and change and iterate rather than have a fixed mindset. And so that they can give you feedback that solves their actual pain points is good for everyone. And so I'd like to turn it into their head and say, if you have humility, that maybe use that humility in ways that let you learn faster, that let you iterate and let you grow.
Yeah, totally. I mean, so well said. And this is actually an area where I'm actively working, even with my own portfolio company founders, to sort of really help them unblock. I think one great way is to, of course, work with somebody like yourselves, who can sort of, and that's I think more from a mindset perspective, attitude, right? Like I think that zone. What I'm also finding useful is really connecting these founders with other founders in the Bay Area who are a few stages ahead of them, right? So it could be for a seed stage founder, a Series B founder, right? And sometimes in a few cases where these founders actually now have more traction in the US, even connecting them to, hey, can you get in front of the founder of Nutanix or the founder of Rubrik, right? I think I think that it's not even mentoring. I think it is just seeing that, hey, this person was exactly like you, right?
Mm-hmm.
10 years back, 15 years back, 8 years back, and look what that person has been able to build. So it is just doable. I think sometimes it is just literally crossing that hump in your own
Yeah.
mind.
Right. I think in doing so, my advice to founders would be to understand that the best mentor is someone who is perhaps five,
Yeah.
no more than
Yeah.
like 10 years ahead of you.
Yeah.
Because to look at someone who is, you know, 20 or 30 years ahead of you, like they are not, their mentoring ability, that is their ability to like tell you what worked for them and how it might work for you, is actually quite diminished because the reality was very different 20
Different.
years ago or more.
Yeah.
So I think that's A, important, and B is to ask yourself, how can I be of value to them? Because this isn't just like the guru and and apprentice or novice student type of relationship. This has to be a relationship where you understand, what's most important to you right now. Okay, great. Like it could be fundraising, it could be team building, it could be something, and show up in a way that allows people to see your value because you actually demonstrate it. And that is, I think, something else that people don't understand when they come to Silicon Valley is not because it's transactional, but because that's part of the collaborative nature of what makes for great relationships. That in that they're not just one-sided, they're two-sided. Adam Grant, the Wharton professor, has a great book where he talks about how there are people who are givers, there are people who are takers, and there are people who are matchers. The and people tend to fall into these categories. But if you are if you are just taking, over time, you yourself will receive less, right? If you are giving freely, and there are a lot of people who do that, then if you feel you have to do so in ways that are like 5-minute favors and easy, and turns out good things will come back to you. If you are and if you're matching, and only matching, then you may miss out on some opportunities. And so that I'm over generalizing, what is a very more complex idea, but recognizing how you can be known as someone who is additive to the community, the ecosystem, and these networks is really, really important.